Alright, so as I mentioned in my initial Palworld video, I figured there would be plenty to talk about when I finally wrap things up with the game. So here we are, going to do, I guess, a little base tour eventually and give my final thoughts on the game. Right here, I believe this gameplay was all pre-recorded. I'm going to collect my final pal. I missed Hangusist, so I'm going to fix that right here, but yikes, honestly, it had been a long time, I feel like. Oh, here's a little glitch, too. I don't even know how I managed to still collect that chest. But as I was saying, it's been quite a while, I feel like, since I've been this addictive to a game. That's not to shit on some other games I played recently, because there's positives and negatives with it. Sometimes it is nice to just go in, do a mission or two and have a rough idea of, your schedule, I guess, for the night, as opposed to here where it's just like, okay, I'll just craft one more thing or I'll catch one more set of pals. And then later you're like, oh shit, I meant to, play another game or do other things tonight. There's a place for both. I like, too, how I wound up finishing up the game the day the big first patch came out. This is something I wanted to note too, that I kind of hope they improve, because it's kind of a pain in the ass, especially if you're going to get the 10 capture bonus to cycle through the PAL decks and hope you find your answer. I wish there was either like a search function by name or something, or even some of the sort options they have in the PAL box. That, or I know when you hold the PAL spheres, it'll tell you if it's new. Oh shit. Was that pre-patch? I just noticed it right there. I never noticed it in gameplay. Holy shit. That would have made things so much more easy. Maybe I'm insane, but yeah, just forget I said that. So yeah, that's a good feature that they show how close you are to the +10 when you have a sphere aimed at a pal. I just hope that they, in an update, make it a little more visible, I guess. Yikes, I feel like an idiot. Oh well. Even so, I do think it is a little weird that you aren't able to sort your PAL decks like you can in your PAL box. That being said, though, as much fun as I had with the game, I was kind of ready for it to be over towards the end. I'm not really even planning to really humor the new update. I checked out what was added and it all seems good, but I think I'm ready to move on for now. I do want to do another playthrough. Like, I forget what they said, but didn't they say that only like 50-ish% of what they wanted in the game was in it at launch? So maybe I'll wait for, the 1.0 official release and hopefully a physical version too. And then maybe give it another playthrough, or maybe I'll even just pick this up. I don't know yet. We'll see how I'm feeling when we get there, which it might be a while, but that's okay. This was a pain in the ass late game too. Some of the crafting you see here, I mean, it's at a snail's pace here. A lot of, grinding just to get shit crafted and get certain materials. Not that it, was intolerable, but it definitely didn't have the same feel as it did earlier in the game when you were exploring these regions and finding all these pals for the first time. Or even like some things I picked up on later is like the EXP bonuses you would get for catching 10 of the pals. When I first found that up and started massively leveling up and unlocking all the different things you can craft and that sort of thing. I guess in the game's defense, I believe if you go into world settings, I think you could speed it up. What wound up happening is, like another minor complaint I had with the game, is that your pals level up so much slower than the player. At least I felt like I was, going for level 50 and my pals were several levels behind me. I felt like they should have been leveling up more with me, because I didn't really change up my team much once I sort of found a group of pals that I liked. And I believe they were all, at one point, at least some of them, a higher level than I was. So that was kind of weird. So I wound up finding out about the world settings and up to my experience rate. I did it when I was at level 49, so I was pretty much done. But I was a little concerned since I pretty much explored all the biomes and knew that there wasn't, a lot of easily accessible pals I had left to hit level 10 with, or to catch 10 of, whatever you want to call it. So I was a little worried. I sort of underestimated just how much grinding through the bosses can get you XP. But I was a little worried as to whether or not I would get one team up to level 50, let alone multiple teams. Like, would have been ideal, especially if it was under the normal experience rate. Oh, this was something too. I think it's right around this area, my mill. Another thing I remembered so late is that you can use the mill to crush stones into PAL fragments. I completely forgot, and I was going around like all these different areas and just grinding through mining a bunch of the PAL rocks, which was a bit of a tedious process. Which is one thing too, is that they've in the new update had an ability to have a ore mine in your facility. So they did fix some of that stuff, or at least that, and that was a glitch too. I had to, I think, exit out and come back in to fix that. I saw other people reporting on it. Or no, that didn't work. I had to completely deconstruct and reconstruct my egg incubator to get it to work again. I saw some other people talking about it. I thought it was something weird too because they introduced a new egg incubator. I thought maybe, but then that's a really small egg, so that doesn't really make sense. But I thought maybe that had something. I mean, maybe it does have to do with the glitch itself, but I thought maybe that was a new requirement for certain eggs. And I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't all bad sometimes just going through the grind. Like, I remember one day I just kind of had a bad day, just felt like doing mindless shit. So that's when I mined a bunch of those PAL fragments. It was a good time, but like I said, I feel like that instance is a more of the exception as opposed to the norm. Oh, you'll notice too, I kind of fucked up with the world settings because you can have 20 pals in the base at a time, but I went back to default settings to mess around with stuff, and I forgot to change it back to 20, and then I completely lost the extra pals I had in the base. So that's just a warning if you mess around with that. Oh well, I didn't have anything too rare in those slots. The other world settings I was messing with were some of your just health and damage stats, because those level 50 bosses, like, holy shit. Like, I didn't have much of a problem, and I'm not the best at the game. Especially with, applying some of the, I mean, you saw all the fruits I had stockpiled. I have no idea what the best builds are or anything, and then I just get decision paralysis and nothing happens. I didn't really have any, or at least, too big of trouble with non-level 50 bosses, but, I mean, not for anything, but you would think having the boss pals, bringing them to a level 50 boss, multiple of them, with type advantage against the boss you're going through would be a little more reasonable, at least for my skill level, than it actually was. So I eventually was just like, fuck it, I just want to beat these bosses. And that's what I did. I did clear all the bosses technically, but like I said, it's a big technically, definitely not to the same level as other people. But I guess you can justify it to a certain degree, because I think especially the level 50 bosses are. But I think, especially a lot of the level 50 bosses are meant to be taken on by, a group of pal trainers and not just one. Not saying it's not possible to do it with one person, but you need to be a very skilled player and very good at building your pals, I feel like, in order to do that, even on easy mode. So I didn't think it was, completely unreasonable to have some multipliers there if you're going solo. Although, once again, flat out, it is cheating, I think. But like I said, I don't care. I just wanted to clear the final bosses. Oh, here we go. I think I gotta go to my spot soon and get some more, because I didn't realize the update had the ore mine yet. Yikes, the duo that you fight, I believe, in the ice area, I forget their names. I think it has to do with, a paladin and a knight. Holy shit, even with my multipliers. That was a really tough fight. I know a lot of people argue Jet Dragon, and like I said, I cheated. I don't think I can have a true opinion on that, but at least for that one, I got lucky, and they got stuck in like the one volcano-ish area. So I was just able to get the health all the way down. Oh, I just noticed too, the one pal I was mentioning, part of the duo I had equipped, Necromus. It was kind of funny too, because I was looking at guides, and I saw people saying that that was a decent way to beat that boss easily, but that just happened to me by accident. I wasn't intending to do that. Actually, I was trying, but it wasn't. I couldn't really get it to work. I wasn't patient enough, and then it just happens by accident. One other critique I kind of want to make note of is, and this is something they kind of fixed with this patch, being I wish there was a way to utilize your spare Lift Monk statue points or whatever and your ancient tech points. I think you can get tech points by grinding the dungeons, but I don't know, to me that wasn't particularly fun to do. I think at this point I completely didn't even notice the extra ancient weapons that we have now. But it's like I had all the ancient shit unlocked. I had 14 extra points. I got all the Lift Monk statues a while ago, and I'm still kind of collecting the ones that aren't, really out of the way. I just wish you could have used it, especially for the technology points, because I just didn't really want to do a big grind through the dungeons. That wasn't really a fun idea to me. Be doing it just to do it at that point. I mean, I got the essential stuff I wanted, but it would have been cool to, get some of the other PAL weaponry and such specifically. And maybe there is a way. Maybe there's something in the game that I just completely missed. It wouldn't surprise me, given some of the stuff you heard me saying here, that it took me way too long to realize. That was another thing, too. I did consider going for a plus 10 on some other pals that I may have just missed. But once again, I felt like I was doing it more for the sake of just doing it, as opposed to actually, wanting to do it. So I just dropped that idea. Here we are going back to the original base. A little bigger and smaller at the same time. Well, because obviously I built more stuff, but then after I already moved to that other base, we got attacked by one of the pyro raids, and I just didn't address it properly, so several things got sort of burnt up and are just gone now. I never replaced them since I had already sort of moved on primarily from the location. And then I don't even use the third base. I sort of use it as a quick travel method to just deconstruct and reconstruct, which is really convenient, especially when you re-obtain the material. As soon as you deconstruct, you can see the one right next to my base, because I was looking up a good place to put a second base, and I thought this was the area being referenced, but I think it was actually the other area, because there's just a bunch of ore right there. I still don't mind the base. I had access to sulfur, which I thought would have been more useful, but it's a pain in the ass to craft ammo, so I just wound up buying it instead. I at least had a lot to sell when I made that decision. Oh, yikes, I also never realized I had the Lift Monk statue in the base, or not the Lift Monk statue, but the thing that, I think it was an Anubis statue that you can use to upgrade using the Lift Monk material. And I just never realized it. Not that it was really super useful, actually. I felt like I ran into enough of the ones in the map itself. But it could have been useful, because sometimes I did kind of want to check up on how close I was to an upgrade. Oh yeah, because I don't think I ever unlocked the rocket launcher either. Now that I think about it, that would have been cool, but like I said, I was kind of worried about the process of crafting the ammo for it, so I just never bothered. Oh, I was confused at first, too, because I didn't really know what they were talking about. So I saw the world tree, and I'm looking forward to whatever they're doing there. Hopefully it's not just for show, but I think at this point, even if it was initially intended like that, I think they are going to do something with it. You can almost, for a split second there, see my map deviate there. But I thought that's where the last boss was for the trainers, which actually the last two there, too, were pretty tough. I used my modifiers there, too, because you had the one sort of flying around, and then the very last one, too. Which I was surprised, because they were using Nightwing, but they weren't really flying around. I forgot the name of the fire one. That was tough. But I was looking at the map, and I thought they took away credit from the other ice tower that I conquered, and I thought they were going to make me redo that and maybe some of the other towers, and I was just like, fuck that, I'm done. But then I was going to look to see if it was a glitch with the new update and whatnot. Or maybe they're trying to force you to do this other stuff before taking on the final boss, only to realize I was completely wrong about the tree. And all was good. And I don't know, seeing what they added in this update, I'm definitely optimistic to see what else they have in mind for the future and coming back to it. I guess one of my concerns about coming back later is, like I said, where my resources are at now, sort of being tailored around the initial experience, where I might go back and there may not be the resources available for the new stuff that they added without, a grind I might not like. So see how they sort of manage that, I guess, going forward. Or if, it would just be better off reallocating your points in a new playthrough or something. We'll see when we get there. Also, that allow transport by pals, was that there initially? I think that may have been new in the update, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I didn't really do a lot of research or a lot of gameplay with it. I guess it was reaffirming if I was kind of in the mood. Oh, here I am debating whether to use it or not. But I guess it was almost good timing, though, if I was really in the mood to keep going even when I was done, that there was, new stuff right on time. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But I'm sure one day it will be the case, and I'll be back. Oh, this is another good tip, too. To travel to this location to get coal. Yikes, you need a lot of coal. Luckily, once I sort of came up with the quick travel idea with the third base, I found a good area with a lot of it. And I just sort of grinded through, got a lot. I eventually ran out, obviously, as you can see here. But yeah, a lot to say. I feel like I was getting ready to wrap this up a couple times, only to find, a reminder of something interesting. Hopefully, I think we're good now, though. At least till, hopefully, 1.0 with, once again, hopefully a lot of other things to